Hi everyone, it's Laura again. I can't wait to show you today's antique junk journal. This is a beautiful school book from the early 1900s. This one is from 1908. That is super early. And it's got this postcard on it. This is an antique postcard. I've never seen one like this before. And what I thought it was when I first got it was that somebody took a regular postcard and cut it to make this frame. And then what I did is I very carefully undetached these little bits here and noticed that it's actually meant to have something inside. So I think this one is attached here, so I'm not going to lift it, but I think there was a ribbon that went around all four rivets, and you would pull it and open it up and somebody could put their own picture in here. And I've done a lot of research. I cannot find anything quite like it, but that is exactly what it looks like, especially because the hearty greetings here is full, and they wouldn't cover it on purpose like that until you decided to add your photo. So I went into my cupboard card collection and I thought, I wonder if I have a card that would fit in there. This one's too large, and I didn't want to use one that had a spectacular backing. Like this one is quite exquisite. And then I found this one, and it had nothing on the back. That's just some adhesive there. And it actually fits in there almost exactly. Like, how incredible is that? So what I'm gonna do is I just wanted to show you that first. So whoever owns this journal, once it goes into my Etsy shop, you can lift this. That's why I used this here. And I'm actually gonna de-tack it a bit so that you could lift this out and add your own photo if you like, or maybe somebody in your own family. Let me just position this perfectly so it's centered, and there we go. I now have this beautiful cover to this exquisite piece here. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? And then I've got my vintage beads that I strung down the side here. And I found some beautiful ribbon that has the pink and light greens, exactly the same coloring. Look at that. Isn't that exquisite? I love it so much. I trimmed it with some vintage doily bits. And let me take you on a little tour with all this authentic vintage and antique ephemera, and all the inserts and treasures hidden inside. The many tucks and pockets are all original. This is the original first book plate here. It's actually part of the book, printed by the publisher on there, and Margaret Schroller owned this book. That's the original interior signature structure there. I kept in this whole first signature because to me it was very important to stay with the book, because that's King George V, and they always put the head of the monarchy at the time there, right up until the mid-50s actually. And so there we have the king, and it says here that he was the King of Great Britain, Ireland, and the British dominions beyond the seas, which would be Australia, Canada, some of the Caribbean islands, just like a whole whack of countries that fell under the monarchy. And, oh, sorry, this publication date is 1915. It was originally in 1915 and originally published in 1908. So, wonderful. It's 110 years old. So I tucked in this postcard from the same era. And this is one of these beautiful silver tone. You see a lot of this in the pre-1920 postcards. And it was done by embossing, pushed up through one side, and then I guess they would have put like a mask over it. So just the embossed flower showing it, and then they would heat silver or gold foil. And the silver here is actually aluminum. Isn't that cool? That's absolutely beautiful. It's a very rare, it has some value, so have fun with that. New owner of this fun journal. And on this side of that page there, we have just some antique paper from this book. And that is a prayer that they would have said beginning of classes. And then this is a learn to dance book from, I believe, the 40s. Look at that, the Foxtrot. Try it at home. And this is just from a great vintage art book. Isn't that wonderful? Look at that. And you can journal on the back of that as well. I just love this so much. This is one of my favorite journals of late, because it just really has some really cool things in it. This is from about a 1910 school book. There, that's the spine. Handwritten thesis paper from the early 1900s, and some wonderful children's book pages, also early 1900s. Also early 1900s. 1900s. There's a lot of early 1900 stuff in here, including this 100-year-old Alice in Wonderland page. And this is that wonderful iconic image of her and the Queen. I love that. And this is a breathtaking image or page out of the Wildflowers of America vintage book. So that's about 55 years old, that page. And then this is a vintage dictionary page. And look at this. This is wonderful, from 1918. It's one of these, it's got this beautiful embossed stamp on there. And I rarely see this postage stamp here, postage mark. And see how many stars are on the flag? I love that. And this is from Princeton. And then the letter was written on what looks like a corporate set of corporate stationery from the Gillette's High Grade Extract Vanilla Company in Chicago. And this is a lovely letter written to my dear Alice from Princeton in 1918. So I wanted to keep that with the envelope. Sometimes I separate them so that everybody can sort of have one, but this one really needs to stay with its original envelope. So that's a very, very special piece, and thanks to Paige for that. And then this is a vintage Birds of America page as well. And over here is another exquisite piece. This is a wonderful Christmas card. Look at the image inside that bell, and you can see the embossed holly up here. It's still got its original greenish bits here. And then inside it's a double layer, and that is from Uncle Will. Oh, it's just sensational. It really is. Over here, I've got this vintage playing card that I just turned into a little corner tuck and added some antique papers here to make more journaling space for you. I stamped that on there, and a vintage botanical page for some bright colors and fun. And this is another antique plate here from an old book, and that is Abbey Craig in England. And the little belly band here is just the top of an antique book, Impressions and Memories. Perfect, right, for a junk journal? And that is a vintage song sheet and a antique hand-typed research paper. And this is a vintage bingo card from the 50s, and it is well worn and very used. Just imagine the last person who won a game using this bingo card back, in the 50s, 70 years ago, screaming bingo and winning a thimble. I just think it's marvelous. And then we have another Up One Pair of Stairs, also 70 years old, a really whimsical little piece here, and a receipt from the 70s with that is the carbon copy there. And this is from the 1890s, the beautiful image here. Isn't that beautiful? A sword in the flowers. It's really sensational. More of those song sheets. And this is from a German book. They just have the most beautiful illustrations. And this one is from 1885. You can see the German back there, but I just added some journaling space on there as well. And this is from a very old 1800s book here. And you can see those rusted staple marks down the side. And this is from a vintage book called The Rabbit Who Wanted Red Wings. You can journal on the back of that. That is vintage. This is really cool. This came from a vintage magazine. And it is this very elegant woman. And I added antique paper on the back there for journaling. But isn't she spectacular? Look at that. Wow. So a very special piece. I'm happy to include that in this wonderful little journal. And here we go. Look at this big brother here. This is from that 1940s How to Care for Children book. Just the best images. Here is another one of these early 1900s design book pieces. A Daughter of the Land, which we all are. And just a really great antique book plate, Harvest Mice. This is from a 1940s book, I believe, David and the Fire Engine. And this is from the early 1920s. And this is actually that little rhyme. This little piggy had roast beef. This little piggy had none. And we all went. I forget. I need toes to remember. More mice. This is from the 1920s here. It's still got some snaps on it. And I just tucked in some Monopoly money to journal on. And here is a great photograph. Look at that, from the 1920s. And I can tell by the scalloped edge here. And look at the little suspenders on this little guy. Aren't they a great family? Got some lace here from a 50-year-old wedding dress. And this I love. This is also from that parenting book. And it says, take frequent naps and get lots of sleep. So if any of you are mothers, you remember wearing lipstick and makeup to bed while you were having your nap and wearing this gorgeous lingerie while the baby was sleeping? That is truly what motherhood is. I have no words. I have no words. They lied. They're lying to mothers. Okay, here we go. This is a vintage Trees of America book, also about 55 years old, and a wonderful 1940s doily page. Look at that. Queen Anne's lace pattern. I see a lot of this pattern, and it's one of my favorites. Jean's birthday, 1940s. Early 1900s perennial book. Yep, the Book of Perennials. And this is just a really fun little pet shop page out of a 1940s book. And a 1930s flinch card. And this is a really rare double-sided Arborite Salesman sample from the original Arborite company. And we have walnut color on one side and red mahogany on the other. Is that great? I don't know what you'll do with it, but I just think it's absolutely fun and cool. And this is an old store and company called Woolcrest, and they made buttons. The buttons have since gone away, but you can journal on that little card. And it's tucked in behind this little antique stamp down here. This is very cool from the 30s. Everybody's favorite songs series. And they list all the different instruments they can play songs with, and the images are just wonderful. I love it. And then we have this, another one of these hilarious recipe pages from 1955. Please don't ever serve me that if you have me over for dinner, or that or that. Yeah, Jell-O salads. It was a big thing. Maybe it still is. I don't know. I haven't seen a Jell-O salad in a very long time. This is from the 1890s. Look at this sweet little picture here. And I actually left this whole just so people could enjoy having two things. If you're a junk journaler yourself, you want to use that for more projects, you certainly can. I'll just tuck it in here for now. More Monopoly money to journal on the back of, and another one of these wonderful coupons for 5 cents. That is vintage. And that brings us to the end here. And oh, look at that silver scroll. That's so pretty. I pulled this out of an early 1900s book. It's the little The End page. So I put it at the end and I tucked in this awesome magazine page. Look at the hats on here. Why don't they bring hats back like this? Seriously. Look at the glam on these ladies. I think she was the one taking a nap. Look at that. And then on the other side, you have cheesy crafts. So I hope you loved this journal as much as I loved making it. Leave me a comment below, subscribe, and come back soon. Bye for now.